Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of NRL Supercoach Off the Bench. Round 8, we're up to now. I'm Ross, coach of the bench warmers, and the way that the TLTs come out this week, there'll be plenty of that in my team this week. Uh, Tonight on the show, we're joined by Guy. Welcome, Guy.
How we doing, lads?
How was your week?
Okay. I'll get the actual score up. And a few things that went well. Obviously, Val Holmes repaid me for holding him with 105. Nico just doing what he always does. Fifi just keeps pumping out great scores, even without tries. But yeah, it was quite an average week, I think, for most teams. And yeah, my eventual score was 1,097, just shy of 1,100. Cost myself a few points in the last game going Warbrick over Ford, but in all I dropped 104 spots, so I'm down to 10,500. So yeah, just kind of sitting there for the time being, but hopefully a few good weeks and keep moving up.
Yeah, nice. How about you, Timmy? How was your week?
Pretty average actually. Got 1,054. I dropped just under 2,500 spots, 2,300 or something. So I'm back in 7,800. Still top 5% overall with a 9,020. But yeah, look, I did 3 trades this week. Used another boost to set things up long term. Unfortunately, traded Val to Garrick and traded Harry Grant to JMK. I think between the 2 trades, they cost me money and cost me about 120 odd points or something like that, just with those 2 trades. So anyway, that's the way they go. Sometimes it's you take the good with the bad, and hopefully over the long term things will even out.
I'll see your 2 dud trades, and I'll see you 3 dud trades. Okay, I went Val to Garrick as well. I also went Grant to JMK, but the last one, I traded out Les Katoa and bought in Tohu Harris this week, didn't I?
Well,
So I got the
neither of them finished the game, so I don't know if one was really any better than the other because neither.
Well, I
of
don't
them
know. I mean, Tohu is out for God knows how long. We haven't had any mail come through yet on with the scans, whether it was a PCL or an MCL. So, but yeah, I finished 1,030. It was just absolute rubbish. Terrible round or just bad. I think I dropped about 3,000 odd spots as well to make things even worse after going, green arrows 2 weeks in a row, which I was pretty happy with. And but yeah, that's super coach. I think, like you guys said, it was a tough round. There was not really many big scores. The high score for the round was only 13-13 or something. So it really shows that that a lot of people, a lot of good coaches are struggling. I've seen, in some of our other groups, Timmy, that we're in, the Podmasters, and a few others with all the experts and a few others that a lot of them really struggled this week. I mean, it's going to be interesting this week. We'll go through the tape. We'll have a bit more of a chat, but it's going to be interesting with some potential laid outs of some of the players too. So,
just quickly,
yes, yes.
Who did you boys captain this week?
Garrick.
I did too.
Okay, I went turbo, so yeah, we're all in the same boat
So
there.
we got you by 14 points then. I think it
was. just out of interest, did you guys? I know you didn't, Roscoe, because you traded him out as well. But Guy, did you have Harry Grant in your team?
Yeah, so I had Harry and held him. I wasn't too keen on JMK. This week it's a little bit different. I also had Val, but I also had Garrick, so I could never make the Val to Garrick trade because I already had Garrick, luckily. So yeah, I just held.
Bring in Joey Martin?
No, I actually went Walsh to Teddy. Banked the 200k. Teddy scored okay. And then yeah, also this week's my issue because I'm short a front rower plus a hooker. So unfortunately I can't go an AJ or trades that I'm looking at. I'm kind of forced into making some trades, but we'll get to that when we go through the teams.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I'm not too upset about my JMK trade for Grant because I think before Grant got that junk try at the end, I want a similar score, so I'm not sort of too upset by that one, to be honest with you. Yeah.
When I looked with 5 minutes to go, I think Harry Grant was still on about 50, 58 or something
yeah,
like
and
that.
then he got a try and a line break at the end.
Yeah, so he scored 40 odd points in the last 5 minutes of the game. So, yeah, when I looked after it, I missed the last 20 minutes of the game. So when I looked afterwards, I was rather pissed.
one saving grace for me, my other trade, other than Walsh to Teddy, my other trade, I was getting in D bags, but I was unsure which one of my second rowers I was punting, and I eventually went with Preston, and kept Ford and Hopgood, which I think worked out quite well because now Hopgood's named to start. Plus he had the buys, and Ford plays that first buy as well.
Makes sense.
So
makes sense. That's right. Definitely. All right, first game we've got Sharks against the Cowboys. No changes for either teams. Now, obviously, with the news around that Cleary could get rested this round. I know he's been named, but there is an extended bench that includes coverage for Cleary. It's nearly very straight out tempting, just a straight out captain Hines. I know it's the first game of the round, but I just think there's not many other decent captaincy options this round that I can see in these games. Boys, what's your thoughts on doing that and any potential tradings on either of these two teams? Timmy?
I think it's with I mean everyone's going to have some Storm players, I'd imagine. So at which point you'd like to think it's an easy loop. I think Nico will be the highest VC for the round. I don't doubt that there'll be plenty of people that'll go straight C on him first game, but I think the smart play is probably a VC, and then you captain someone like Will Warbrick or Christian Welsh, whichever man and his dog seems to have.
Anyone you're keen on to trade in for these out of these two teams, Timmy?
Sorry, who have they got? I'm on a different screen.
Sharks and Cowboys.
Sharks and Cowboys. Yeah, look, I don't know. It's I mean, Nico's the obvious choice. You could go left field and look at Drinky or something like that, but I think Nico's the obvious one.
Yeah, Guy.
Yeah, they just don't play the first ball. I mean, everyone's got Nico. Whether I captain him, probably not. And again, if you want to captain Cleary, can't even throw the VC on him. So that's my only choice. I've got Val, obviously, kept him. Not sure how the Cows are going to go down there at Shark Park. Reece Robson put up a 69 with a try. I have kind of been interested in him just because of that buy run and the lack of hookers or attractive hookers on option. Ruben Cotter was another one who I think had a good game, played some decent minutes, 76 in base, looked quite strong. I'm not too keen.
He's trying to cement his spot for Origin because he's been playing pretty average, I thought. But I reckon it's about time he starts to pull his finger out and has another good crack.
Yeah, and throw Drinky there as well. Yeah, and Drinky was another one who's been out of form, come back with a ton. I've kind of been watching them more just because of the buys. I'd love to get a few of the Sharks backs in. As we said last week, Atoll was a good trade. Scored a try. I think he only ended up with about 60. But yeah, apart from those players, not too much. I actually have Kyle Felt, wish I played him this week, but yeah, he'll be a handy option for the buy to play him.
Yeah, I don't mind Drinky as a trade in either, especially I know there's quite a few people who are trading up Turbo this week, even though he's been named. I don't hate the Turbo trade out, but I mean, surely you've got other issues than trading out Turbo with the amount of players who are out with concussion and suspensions this week and buys. But I don't mind Drinky, to be honest with you. So he doesn't have a buy for till round 15 or something too. So could be a good an option, that's for sure. All right, we'll move on to the next game: Parramatta versus Newcastle.
Whoa! Before we move on, what about the jet ski? I thought you were going to ask. You had a question about the jet ski.
No, not me. I did mention
we talked about him last week.
We talked about him last week.
Yeah, well, he's 246k. Do you think he's an option for a cheap?
What did he score on the weekend?
His BE's -7.
Yeah.
weekend. He scored a 47, but he played 80 minutes.
Not great, is it?
Yeah, and the week before he put up a 34 in 65 minutes. But I mean, he's only 246k, second row only.
Yeah.
But I actually think he's probably one of the better cheapies.
It's not the worst option. That's for sure. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, far out. I mean, if you're going to get him, this is the week to do it, right? You don't want to be waiting any longer. I mean, 47 points in 80 minutes isn't great. It's not like he's going to get more minutes and get more points. But, yeah, look, I don't mind it. I don't know what I'm going to do this week yet. I'm going to just take, but I just need to feel the 17 this week like most other people.
Swear, I'm glad I've got plenty of depth. I don't have to make trades, but I probably should.
Yeah. All right. Next game, Para versus Newcastle. For Para, so Hopwood starting. Cardi's been put back to the bench. You got RCG out with Rome and Greg starting at front row. For Newcastle, I don't think there was any major changes with them with the Knights at all. Now I had a bit of a thought today, and I'm not too sure what you guys think, but what's your thoughts on trading Hopwood back in again if you've already sold him, given it's going to cover all those three buys? Probably going to start for at least some time while RPG's out.
What's he priced at and what's his BE at the moment?
Come on, guy, you should have that. You've got him in your team.
I've got him in my team, so I haven't really looked at him, to be honest.
So what's his break even and what's his price?
He's 529.
Yeah.
He's obviously got the starting position back. Break even 55, so he's just kind of held around. I think he only got up to 550 or something, so he's been between 550 to 500. Yeah, I'm glad.
He probably won't play 80 though, will he? If he's playing lock, right? I don't imagine he's going to play 80. Probably about 60 minutes, maybe.
They are missing a few. They are a bit short in the middle. Like Greg won't play too many minutes. You can eye on that. The one that I'd probably prefer is Maddo from the Eels if I was going to go forward. But yeah, it's hard for me to say because I've already got Hopgood.
But it's a massive price difference between the two. It's like nearly 200k difference. Maddo's on 700k. Anyone else in this game that takes your interest at all, Guy?
Gagai's been in some great form. I wouldn't touch him for Supercoach, but he would have been an ultimate pod. I love Lockie. They've just got a buy before the round 13 buy, so I'm kind of weighing up Val to him a bit closer to right on 13.
So what round do they have the buy?
Newcastle?
Yeah, because they've got a buy round 14.
Round 14? 10.
So they've got two buys in 5 rounds.
Yeah.
No, that's not geez. Far out. Okay.
That's what I mean.
This is what people have to start to look at now. They've got to look at the buys. Like someone said, actually, I think it was Henry. Now we all love Henry, and Henry's a very good Supercoach player. But he made a comment in one of our chat groups over the weekend and said, "Why would you be making that trade? Like we're almost at the buys." And then, he said the buys were 5 rounds away or something. And then I think you jumped in, Roscoe, and
that
said,
was me because you commented on my trade.
Yeah. So I think if you're not really looking at the buys now, I mean, I've got 11 players for round 13, so it's not do or die for me. But there's some ways where I'm sort of trying to look at making upgrades now more than anything else for round 13, or look at having 14 or 15 and then pick your best 13 out of that, which obviously we still don't really know how they're actually going to work it out. But look, it's an interesting one. I think you do still have to look at the buys, and I think any chance that you can bring someone in. But if it comes, if you're looking at player A or player B, one's on a buy and one's not over that sort of first, even 13 through to 16, 17, I think you've probably got to take the guys that have the least amount of buys.
Yeah.
Just on the night. So they got the buy round 10. They play Para this week, then got the buy. Then they play Gold Coast, Cronulla, and then they play Manly in 13, obviously without their Origin players. And then they have the buy 14 with Para and Manly. So don't want to have too many from all three of those teams. But
Mm.
Mars and Miller would probably be the main two, or the two that I run with from Newcastle. But yeah, I'd wait for after round 10.
Yeah.
How
Val's still got,
Sorry, go.
Val's still got to play the Tigers, I think, in round 12 as well. So it just made sense to hold off before I went to Miller.
How many Origin players do you think Manly's going to really have? Like they'll have DCE and they'll have Turbo if he's fit.
And I think Ola Kawadu.
Yeah.
Oh, Lado, yeah, good call. Good call.
Got Ola out.
Yeah. All right.
Game on.
We'll move to the next game. Timmy's Broncos versus the Rabbits. For the Broncos, obviously a bit down on troops this week. We've got Ezra Mam out, suspended. Jock Madden comes in. Payne Haas is out. We've got Palacia starting. I've got Corey Oates out. But then you get Jesse Arthur come in.
Yeah.
The South, they get Totola back, which is a big in for them because they've been looking a bit of go forward in the middle. Other than that, there's not too many other changes. First of all, Timmy, I know you've got Walsh still. You're moving him on this week.
Yeah, look, at this point I am. I've got Christian Welsh and I need to make an upgrade there to someone who's not going to play Origin and might as well make it someone who's going to play this week. So, look, I'm probably going to go Welsh up to someone like AFB or Joey Tapane or something like that. I've got to try and work it out. But if I go Welsh down to Walsh down to Teddy or someone sitting at sort of 600K, then I've got plenty of money there to upgrade Welsh to just about anybody. So, yeah, look, this game actually does really scare me as a Broncos member. I just think don't get me wrong, our backline's been playing really well. And with the only real omission being Corey Oates, we've been playing for the last 2 weeks with Jesse Arthur, so there's sort of nothing much really doing there. By all accounts, Jock Madden's been doing a lot of training in the halves at Broncos training all the time. So, look, they had him as a ready-made replacement to jump in at any stage, obviously with A-Ray and his injury history. So I think the biggest one is obviously going to be Payne. It's some pain, and I think that's going to make a big difference, especially with Totola coming back for the Bunnies. So, yeah, look, I am concerned about this game. We've only lost one so far this season. Unfortunately, I'm probably tipping the Bunnies in this one.
I think we talked earlier about captaincy options for this round. I think Latrell is a serious captain option for this game. I just think with Haas missing, it's hard to replace him. What he does in the middle for the Broncos, and Palacia is a good player, but he's no Payne Haas. And I think Latrell could go big this game too. What's your thoughts, Guy?
Got a couple of thoughts. One, I sold Walsh last week, so I like the Walsh trade. I think there's so many good fullbacks, and just to make that cash, and it's not really too much in points you're giving up. Yeah, I like that trade. I think Haas is a definite hold. The ones that I was interested in, Campbell Graham's been in some fire. He's got a BE of 130, so hopefully he drops a bit more cash. But AJ, yeah, he's definitely a great option this week. He's BE of 25, and yeah, he's only about 568K, so he's a lot cheaper than obviously Campbell Graham. But the last thing I did want to mention is the last name you mentioned, Keenan Palacia. Now, 243K is dual second row, front row. He could be one of the best downgrade options because we know Haas is going to be missing for Origin. I was kind of wanting to know who's going to play big minutes. So now that he's out and Palacia is starting, going to be very interested to see what minutes he plays because obviously then you'd think he'd get that in the bye week with Paddy and Payne out. So, yeah, definitely interested in him. What's your thoughts,
Timmy? You think Palacia is going to see decent minutes?
Oh, look, I can't see him doing any more than sort of 50 Supercoach points. If he does, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Look, I think Paddy Carrigan will just move more into sort of Payne Haas's role this week. I think Paddy will take a lot more work on himself, and I think if he'd probably looking for a season high as far as Supercoach goes for Paddy this week. So if you've got him in your team, I'd definitely be holding him. He's not a player that I want to trade in because obviously he'll be gone in 3 or 4 weeks' time anyway for Origin. But yeah, I'd be all over Paddy Carrigan if you've got him in your team. Look, I'm definitely.
What's your thoughts on Palacia though? Like bring him in. Do you think is it silly to bring him in this week if you're looking for that extra number with?
No, I don't think it's a bad idea. It's I'd just be interested to see if maybe he goes to the bench and Marty Tapau starts. I know Marty hasn't started a game this season, but Guy and I have sort of talked off air over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we've both been pretty keen on Marty and sort of waiting for something. I really think this is his sort of opportunity where he might step up and take that leadership role back like he has done for the last few years in the Manly forward pack. So, yeah, I really wouldn't be surprised if there's a late switch there of Marty going up front, starting, and Palacia staying on the bench.
Yeah, it's just because he's got that duel. So obviously when Haas is back, I've got him and Taps for my front row and super coach. But on my bench, I was looking at going Stefano up to Tohu, but with the Tohu injury, I think maybe you could make 160 K going down from Stefano to Palacia, and he's dual as well, so you can flick him around, and you only play him in that bye week. But yeah, it was the other one we're looking at was the goals as well from the Cowboys. But
You're internet, guy.
You're
internet. You're going in and out.
Sounds like you're drinking underwater.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, boys.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that guy. I don't mind that shout guy. I mean, it's one to think about for this week in particular because I need another front row forward, and I'll be happy to play him this week, even if he does play 40 minutes and punches out a 40 or 50. I don't mind that. It saves me making 2 trades because I've got Welsh who I have to move on with Haas out, but I don't have the cash to upgrade him to Tarpany or AFB, and I don't want to make 2 trades. So I don't mind the Palacia one. It's not a bad option, to be honest with you.
The hard part is though, Roscoe, who are you going to play for the next 4 weeks until Origin starts?
Haas is back now because Haas is back next week.
Yeah, I know, but then if you're trading Christian Welsh out to Palacia, then you're going to run Payne Haas and Palacia for the next.
Because I've got Tino as well.
You got
I've got Big Tino as well.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't be playing those 2. No, it's just for this week in the buys. That's all. So.
Yeah, look, Keenan's a good shout, and he's a good footballer, a good up and coming footballer. I've got no doubt. In my situation, like if I sell Welsh, it's really got to be to a premium front rower because I've got to play him week in, week out. So I can't really do a downgrade there. I've got Sean Kepi, which I'm holding specifically for round 13. Otherwise, I'd look at doing just him down to Palacia, but it's probably much of a muchness anyway. Kepi's sort of in and out all the time, so who knows where he's going to finish up. And then I've got Udakamanu, who you can sort of bet your house on 40 points, but that's about all he's getting at the moment. So I don't really want to have to play him week in, week out.
Yeah. What's your guys' thought on Isaiah Tass from South? Do you think he's an option at about 500K?
No. I started with him, and as soon as I could get rid of him, like it took me 5 or 6 weeks to get rid of him. I'm certainly not bringing him back.
No, not Thompson.
Oh, sorry, not Thompson. Tass. Yeah, look, the problem is, like, how long is he going to stay in the team for?
Well, he'll be in there. He's in the team permanently. Till next season when Jack Whiten comes. Probably.
Yeah, we'll see.
Guy, don't like it? Not sure.
For 500K, I'd rather pay 60K more and go AJ.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't mind like Cody Walker, but he's just too expensive.
Yeah, he's definitely way too expensive now.
Same with Graham, yeah.
Yeah, Lachul's definitely a good option this week too, but at 900, over 900K now, I don't know if I'll be bringing him in now. All right, next game is Raiders versus the Dolphins. For the Raiders, Rapana's back from his suspension, replacing Nick Kotrick. And also, for those who have got Jared Croker, he has been named in centres, but Savage is named on the extended bench, so keep an eye out for the late mail on that one. For the Dolphins, they get Kenny Bromwich back from his suspension. other than that, there's not too many other changes. Boys, anyone would like from me? These two teams obviously both play round 13. Tarpany's obviously a serious option in this game, but also think, for those who want to upgrade, maybe JMK too. Another one I'm going to throw in there too that's been really, really flying under the radar is Ewan Aiken as well. Thoughts, guys?
Yeah. Don't really like too many players from either teams. I know you boys are keen on JMK and Isako and Hammer and a few of the Dolphins boys. I'm obviously bringing in Taps this week, just as a trade from Welch because he's got the bye. I did look at Corey Horsburgh at 480k because, like Roscoe said, you probably don't have to make two trades then, and he's got that dual. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced by it.
By Ricky's Russian roulette.
Yeah, an interesting one could be Josh Papali. Do you think he's going to make Origin?
He'll get a bench spot at least. Worst case scenario, will come off the bench. He's been playing there for too long.
They're pretty pick and stick, aren't they? Like Kevin is, isn't he? Or Billy is, isn't he?
I'd think so. And
the
fact that Papali was, or Papali'i, whatever the hell we're calling him this week, was still playing when Billy was, I think that probably helps as well. Look, he's not going to let him down, even if he comes off the bench for 20 minutes as an impact role or something like that. I think he's much better than a lot of the other options that we've got. Like they're going to pick him over like a Jared Wallace or someone like that. So I think Big Papa's pretty safe.
Do you reckon Nano's going to get picked, Timmy? He's way out of form this year, but can you see him holding his spot?
I think he holds his spot, mate. Yeah, there's not too many other second rowers that are absolutely belting the door down.
Well, yeah. Defeat didn't play last year, did he?
I thought he was on the bench last year, wasn't he? He'll start. He's got to start. He's got to start left edge, and Kafusi will be on the right, surely.
So, Timmy, anyone from either of these two teams for you?
No, look. Apart from the ones that we spoke about, JMK, I'm still pretty keen on. My whole logic of bringing him with Grant last week was I figured that the JMK score over the 2 rounds or the 3 rounds was going to be better than Harry Grant's 2 scores. So yeah, look, I'm still, as much as it hurt Harry scoring in that last couple of minutes, it's look, I'm still all over JMK. Obviously, they're wingers in the Hammer and Isako. I let the Hammer go too early, unfortunately. But yeah, all's well that ends well in the long run. Look, it's there's not too many others. I've got Connolly Lumilu or Lemi. I'm normally really good with them, but they seem to pronounce his name differently just about every week. So so I'll just call him Connolly. So I've still got him in my team, which has been pretty handy to move back and forwards between centre wing and second row forward. Now, especially now that I've got Jack Bird in there as well and conflict between the two.
Have you got something to say about Jack Bird, Timmy?
Thanks, Ross. Apart from that last week.
What did he do? He got 83 on the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, no, 72 he finished with.
He went down to 72.
Maybe that's what he's predicted for this week.
I was going to say, he was on 83 at one stage.
Yeah, no, he was looking really good. He scored the try early on. He was about 40 points or 45 points or something at halftime. So I was hoping to God that he was just going to keep moving forward. So
I just want to say quickly on the Hammer, I own him and I've held him just because he plays 13. But Robert Jennings, please, you are killing me. You've dead set bombed 2 tries on the weekend, and he cost Hammer about 50 points on the weekend at least by bombing 2 tries.
Whose was worse? Hammer?
Mulatalo, 100%.
Oh, the hand on the sideline?
Mulatalo for sure. He had no one in front of him. He had no control.
Jennings had the line open too.
No, but I think he reckoned that. So that after the game, one of the Dolphins players, and he thought he'd been tackled, and that was what he said. And that's why he didn't get back up. So I say Mulatalo. Sorry. I've got to say Mulatalo. You watch that 1,000 times, but it's still funny every time you watch it.
Birdie did knock out an even 80. So no, he's been really good.
What did he end up on then?
What's that?
What did he end up on? Did you say?
Yeah, 80. Even.
Okay, so he lost 3 points then. Okay. Yeah, right, yeah. All right, well, we might as well move on to the next game. Manly versus the Titans. This should be a absolute bell ringer of a game. Not. I think both teams are capable of scoring points, but also leaking points as well, as we saw last week with the Titans somehow losing that game against the Dolphins after winning 26-0. For Manly, Parker's out, so those Gary Coners who on one of them, and I know you are, Guy, he's been moved to centres this week, so which is not good, I don't think, for Supercoach. And for the Titans, there's not really much changes for them. Wouldn't be trading any players from either of these two teams, especially with none of them playing 13. I think Turbo's definitely a trade out option if you don't have any other major issues to deal with. Beef eaters, we just keep banging on, which I'm really stoked that I started him because I thought once he got that contract that he might start to, ease it off a bit. But, he's getting in there making one or two runs. He's actually moving off his edge and coming in and making runs from dummy half, which is great to see. He's getting really involved. So, Guy, your thoughts on this game? Could be 50 all.
Yeah, there's a couple who I was interested in. Obviously from Manly, they play both these teams play the bye. Ola Kawatu, I was interested, but now with Koala Matangi going down, I think I'm gonna have to just pass on him. Garrick, I think I'm gonna hold even at centre. He's still kicking goals. I just don't think he's worth a trade out when he'll be an extra handy number for 13. Turbo, he's maybe a luxury trade, but he's only worth 594k. So like him to Latrell is probably out of reach. Cherry Evans is a great pod, but again, he's only available at half, which sucks. As we're all on the hunt for some front rowers, the one who's really interested me has been Mo Fodawaker in the past 2 weeks. He's at 540k, so he's another one that you could do straight swap for Welch, and he'll be another number for 13. I don't think he'll play Origin.
I think he will. I think he'll play Origin. His runs with the ball lately, not so much his defence, but just his runs with the ball. He's been massive for the Titans for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're quite stacked though. I mean, they're not gonna you just said Papali before. You got Lindsay Collins, you got Tino, you got Cotter. I don't know. I don't know if all of them can
I think that's
play.
it. I think that's the 5. And then they'll have a like a utility on the bench. I think Kalen Ponga will be 14 if he's fit enough to play. I think Reece Walsh will be number 1. Harry starts at 9.
Well, then where's Green?
Well,
No, Hunt.
that's the hard part. Hunt starts and.
Yeah, I think Hunt starts, and I think Green comes off the bench like last year. I think that's what
Yeah.
they'll do. It worked last year,
Yeah, but
big time.
they can't carry Walsh and Ponga
No,
off
they
the
won't.
bench.
No, they won't. They won't have both. I think if Ponga is fit to go, I think they will pick him. I don't have any doubts about that.
I don't know. Like he played well on the weekend coming off the bench, but it was a short stint. And like, let's be real, it's Origin. There's obviously all rules go out the window. No one wishes any harm on any player, but you know how loose tackles and stuff are in Origin. Dead set, your first 6, all you'd be doing is you'd have half a dozen blokes run at Ponga and shit. I fell and tripped over, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I started with Ponga, and it's I really wish I didn't with the history and everything else. But yeah, look, it's I don't know. To being completely honest, I think I said this last week or the week before. If Ponga's genuine, I think he probably puts his hand up and goes, "Hey, look, maybe I don't play Origin this year." I think he needs to look after the Knights. I think if the Knights want to succeed this season, they need Ponga to play as many games as they can. If he gets another head knock, he's pretty much out for the rest of the season or close to it. So surely if he's genuine and he's captain of the club and everything else, surely he puts his hand up and goes, "Hey, look, boys, maybe I'll sit this series out."
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the next game, which is
Do you think Turbo's a captain option?
Oh God, no.
You
I'm
couldn't do
actually,
it?
I'm actually. If I had enough depth on my bench this week, I wouldn't even be playing him. That's how. That's where I'm at the moment. I mean, he got run down by Stefano on the weekend. Out of all players, like he's not right. I still think he may not play. I just think it's crazy to risk him when they're only playing the Titans. I think it's ridiculous.
Oh no,
I,
but four.
I'm not understanding it. I don't get it. There's no
I
reason
think
to play him.
from Manly's point of view, if he's not 100%, they don't play him.
Well,
Because
but he wasn't on the
without
week.
him, they
But he
don't win.
wasn't on the.
Like,
But he
not
wasn't on
with,
the weekend, Tim. And he got run down by Stefano 5 minutes into the game. So
no,
he
I
obviously
understand
wasn't
that.
100% then.
But whether or not he hurt himself in the first few tackles, who's got any idea? But I think I don't think he's that important to them. I don't think that they risk him. I think that
And
would be really silly on the
honestly,
coach's
I
behalf.
honestly believe on form this year that he should not be in the Origin team. I wouldn't be picked. I don't think they should pick him. Honestly,
You
I
have
don't.
to pick him
No, you
just
don't.
if he's
Why
fit.
do you have to? Why do you
Like
have to pick
Ponga.
him? You don't have to pick him. You can put Campbell Graham there instead.
Yeah.
Really?
No, if he's
Well,
if
you
he's
just said before about Papa.
if he's fit, he's a walk-up starter.
Yeah, but we know that he's not 100% Tim. He's been like that pretty much all season now. Are you going to have a bloke playing Origin that's not 100%? I think it's ridiculous. What happens if he goes off injured? Who's going to cover him? Who's going to cover him in centres when he goes off?
Oh, like if New South Wales would be like Queensland, picking 5 different fullbacks to play across the back line, I'm sure they'll make it work one way or another.
Jeez. Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next game. We can have this argument. No worries at all. All right, we'll go on next game. Penrith versus the Tigers. For Penrith, Targo's out with a torn pec or something. He's out for about 6 weeks. Tyron Peachy comes in, which I'm spewing about. I was hoping there was going to be a cheapie like Jenkins or McLean coming instead. So Hoskins still starts. And for the Tigers, Charlie Staines. Did anyone see that injury that he did? He's got some bowel injury and he's out for 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, I saw the write-up. I didn't see him actually do the damage during the
No, I
game.
didn't
He
either,
finished
but
the game.
bowel perforation or something like that. And then Asa Kapoa's out with tonsillitis, so Nopaluma and Naden come into the team. There's not many changes there. Obviously, with Panthers, keep an eye on final teams because Cleary and Taruva are both, from what I've been told, it's still in doubt, even though they've been named. There is extended bench to cover those two guys. So my suggestion is don't have Cleary in your starting team. Have him as a reserve on your bench, just in case he's laid out, because they don't play till the last game on Saturday. So what's your guys' thoughts on this game? Neither team play round 13. Anyone worth holding or selling from either of these two teams?
At this stage, I'm playing Taruva. If he starts, I'm playing Taruva. Yeah, obviously, if you're VCing or captaining Nico, you can't have Cleary, so he's on the bench. Yeah, look, if Panthers are still close to full strength, if Cleary plays, if they're still close to full strength, then I think they put a cricket score on in this game. I mean, Panthers still haven't been amazing this season, and we're still yet to see them pile on a whole truckload of points, but I think this game could possibly be it. But mind you, we've been saying that for the last 8 rounds, haven't we?
And we said that last week about Manly Tigers too.
Yeah.
They nearly got beaten. Yeah, I'm going to play
Penrith.
Taruva. I'm going to play Taruva too. But if Taruva's out and Cleary's out, I am up shit creek without a tackle this week. Literally, I'm scraping the barrel for 17 this week as it is, and that's including playing Katoa as well from Dolphins and our morning too.
Yeah, wow.
So,
Right, mate.
well, what do you expect? I mean, the tampon's out again this week, injured again, Schuster. I mean,
Tampon.
Well,
I've got Harris out, I've got Walsh out, I've got all these other players out as well. So, yeah, guy.
yeah, I think I agree with Timbo. Taruva's definite play for me this week if he plays. I'll probably captain Nath over Nico. and both of them don't play the bye, so not too interested in too many. I do think Hoskins a sell before 13. Definitely play this week also against the Tigers. But yeah, not too many you look to bring in. Tyrone Peachy, I mean, it's pretty cheap. Maybe you can keep an eye on him for a downgrade if you hold the spot. But yeah, not too much.
The other good thing about Taruva, hopefully plays this week because the Hog Cargo's out for 6 weeks, so he might actually see some ball if he plays.
Well,
It's exactly why I'd be playing him.
Nah, I disagree. I reckon Tyrone Peachy's just as bad.
I hope not.
Especially if he's got to prove himself to keep his spot in first grade. But they're not going to play Peachy over Tungo when he comes back.
No. So, Guy, I'm interested on your thoughts. So you just mentioned that you're going to captain Cleary this week, which means you can't VC Hines. So what's your backup plan if Cleary's out? That only leaves 4 games after that. So would you be captaining Teddy potentially against Warriors then if that's the case? Or are you going to VC? Or are you going to VC Cleary? Or are you going to see Cleary?
Well, it'll depend on. No, I'll definitely VC Tommy at 4 Pines Park because he plays first before any of them.
Even though he's not 100%, you're still going to put the VC on him.
It's no loss if he doesn't score. Score well. It's only a VC.
Yeah, and then yeah, see on Nath. They play right after each other. So Manly play the 5 game and then Penrith play the 7:30 game on Saturday. So you should know at least.
I think the Cleary VC into Teddy's not a bad one either, guy. I think Teddy should score well against the Warriors too.
Yeah, but it's in New Zealand. The Warriors have just keep.
Yeah, but they've got so CNK's out with concussion. They've lost Tohu. They've lost Josh Tabunga too. They've got some rookie playing fullback. So I think Roosters should do this one easy. I know Warriors have been impressive, and they were all in that game yesterday up until about the last 10 minutes. But I just think they're running out of troops, and Dylan Walker's also going to be up this week, so they're going to be down to 5'8" as well. So I think Teddy's in for a big one.
Yeah, if I did have Trell, I think he's probably the best VC option. I'm also looking at Cookie as VC. I think Broncos without Haas, bit weaker up the middle. South might be able to make some inroads up the middle. But yeah, Teddy in against the Warriors, I don't mind. But yeah, mate, if Cleary's out, who knows? I could be stuck. If I VC'd Turbo, worst case, and Cleary's out, I couldn't even captain Teddy with the VC on Turbo, so I'd be stuck with Lomax or something. But yeah.
Captain Garrick worked so well for me last week.
Yes, me too, Timmy. Yes. All right, this game is the Warriors versus the Roosters. For the Warriors, CNK's out with concussion. And then they've also got Tohu Harris out with his injury. 3 aggravated his knee injury. He's been replaced by Josh Curran at lock. And also Josh Tabunga's out as well. He was on the bench. So they're a bit weakened up there for the Roosters. Nat Butcher's back from suspension and Angus has been put back to the bench. Boys, thoughts on this game? I mean, Warriors cover 13. Roosters don't. I think AFB is a good trade-in for those who are looking for an upgrade for Christian Welch. You guys thoughts on this one?
Yeah, look, because this does affect me. Trying to work out who the better trade-in is, AFB or Joe Tapine. I know we've all talked about Tapine all season, but what's he top score so far? About 65 or something like that. I don't think he's certainly not hitting the 90s and 100s like he was last season every second or third week. So, look, AFB's looked really good. I know he obviously scored a try last weekend, but he's looked really good overall. He's certainly looked hungry, and he's just pulling teams apart straight up the middle. So I'm tending towards AFB rather than Tapine. The plus with Tapine is he's obviously got dual. So in my situation where I've got, I think I was Sean Kepi in up there as well. So look, it's always handier if you're between player A and player B. It's always handy if you can pick up one with dual, just so you can make things a bit easier and move things around, especially going into the buys. But Yeah, look, at the moment, I think AFB is probably the form front rower outside of Payne Haas.
So Tarpany's 50k more than AFB. He's got a break even of 75, which he may go close to getting. AFB's got a break even of 1.
One.
Now, remembering the Raiders, the other side with upside with Tarpany's, he's already had his buy. Warriors haven't had a buy yet, I don't believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So
That was the main difference because I was looking at Tohu this week as well as Taps. But once Tohu went down, I was much more keen on Taps. For that reason was that Warriors had that buy.
They've got it in round 12 is their buy.
Yeah. And if you're trading Welch for that reason, otherwise I'd hold Welch because he's averaging 50 odd. And yeah, if I'm trading him for someone, I don't want to have this issue again in a few weeks. So yeah, I definitely think Tapane 640 and AFB 605, so it's only about 35k more. Tapane is averaging still 61, and hasn't probably looked the best. Whereas you said AFB's been in really good form. He's only averaging 64. So I
Averaging
just
what?
think,
Sorry, 64.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just think, yeah, even though he's got the high ceiling, I probably will stick with Taps.
Warriors have got the buy in 12 and 16, so he misses 2 over 4 rounds, which is certainly a negative. Raiders don't have the buy again until I can't look at it because I don't have any buy players, but I'll come back to you. I don't have any other Raiders, but I'll come back to you in a minute with that.
So I was just having a quick look here, guys. So
20. I've got.
Yeah, round 20. Okay.
Is there other buy?
So with Tarpany's minutes, also too, he's averaging about probably 49 minutes at the moment, I think it is. Now, one thing I'm going to say is after about round 11 last year, too, with him, he went up to around about 60 minutes per game, which will then get him probably around about on average 13 extra points a game, maybe more. So I also think that probably gives you the head start with probably going Tarpany over AFB as well. I think there's a bit more leaning towards Tarpany.
Tap's still only averaged 51 minutes or 51 and a half or whatever the hell it was when I looked right into it and I wrote about it early in the season. So he basically only averaged 52 minutes for the whole season last year. I know he smashed out a whole heap of points at the end of the season, but it was more a points per minute thing and getting regular tries more than anything else. He's just not getting that at the moment. It's the minutes difference from his highs to his lows is all of about 6 or 7 minutes between it. So it's not like he starts smashing out 80s all of a sudden. Obviously, there's games where there's injuries and things like that, and that obviously increases. But as a whole, he's still only averages 52 minutes across the season. So he's really only 3 or 4 minutes short of where he is at the moment.
Yeah, so just looking at his minutes from last season now, they were between rounds 11 and round 16, like they were up towards 60 minutes, but then at the back end of the season, it went back down to like 32, 45 minutes. So, yeah, well, look,
I just.
Is there any other options? Let's talk about that because people are going to want to know because I know there's a lot of people that have got Christian Welsh. I'll just bring him up. So his current ownership, obviously people would have traded him out already, but I'll go back to it. Yeah, so his current ownership is 26%. So 1 in 4 teams have got him. So this is a problem that everyone's going to have this week. Well, 1 in 4 teams are going to have. So, yeah, look, I don't know. Who else have we got? Like we've got Joey Taps, we've got AFB. Realistically, who else is out there? You look at one of the Saifidi boys with because they play round 13, but they one or the other may jag a New South Wales spot.
One of them would be an Origin, maybe. I don't know for sure.
I'd say a bench spot. I can't see anybody starting.
Neither of them are in form this year, but I think now that our RCG's gone down and he'll miss Origin, someone's going to have to come in there and take a bench spot through the middle. So, but that could be Gerbo doing that too. Gerbo could just play middle for New South Wales too.
Yeah, good call. And they looked much better last year when he did play in that last game.
Yeah. I don't know, Timmy, I don't know about you guys, but I can't think of really any other options, especially those who are playing round 13. There's not really anyone else, to be honest with you. I'll throw one in there. One of guys, teams, players. Jack DeBellin. What's your thoughts
Yeah,
on that, guy?
he.
Jewel too.
I love Jack as a player. I looked at Corey Horsburgh as well, similar. Jewel as well. But it just comes back down to minutes, and I mean Jaden Sewer's been out. So yeah, I just think front row's a position you don't want to have to make too many trades.
Yeah.
So I think just by going the taps and pairing him with Haas, I think you can just stick with that for a while and not have to touch that area. Tapani hasn't scored below 57, which he scored on the weekend. He's only had 5 offloads in his 6 games. But yeah, he just hasn't got the attack yet. But yeah, I just like his floor. And his minutes are also very, very consistent. Like Timmy said, it's not like he's going, massive minutes and then small minutes like Hopgood Wads. I just think, yeah, he's gone 50, 47, 46, 56, 49, 50. So very consistent. And yeah, even his PPM always been 1.1 to 1.4. So he's always solid.
So just looking at front rowers right now, this is dragging on way longer than it should have, but just looking at front rowers at the moment. So the top 10 front rowers currently, Payne Haas, AFB, Tommy Gilbert. Obviously, Gilbert, I would think, will play Origin. There's Max King from the Dogs, Tino, who will be Origin, RCG, who's going to be out. Christian Welsh will be Origin. So, like, as Welsh, as much as we've all said it's been really shit and underwhelming this season, he's the seventh highest front rower at the moment. So, admittedly, that's 8 games. Mind you, it's only Tino who's played 7. The others have all played 8. Blake Laurie, of anyone, is coming in at number 8. So he's only played 7 games. So total points, he's on the same as Welsh and played 1 less game than Christian Welsh has. So, I mean, there's even a left field option. Blake Laurie's not going to play Origin, that's for sure.
That just proves that just proves how shit their front row forward are than Haas is this year. Because what's the gap between Haas in total points and AFB, Jimmy?
So Haas is 620, AFB is 518. So you're talking 100 points there. And keep in mind, AFB just knocked out 100 on the weekend, while Payne Haas had a 60 or 63. Tommy Gilbert is 502. Max King's at 500. So we're talking 120 points off Payne. So yeah, even Tino's down to 453. He's played 1 game less than Haas. So I guess average-wise, Payne's averaging 77.5, and the next best is, AFB 64.8 or Tino on 64.7.
Yeah. One last thing I'll touch on is Tom Gilbert, the Queenslander.
Yes, played last year.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah,
well, you've got him and Welch as well into that middle. So I definitely think Mo Fodawaker's a chance or a strong chance of not playing in Origin.
If it came to me, I'd be picking Big Mo. I mean, it just depends. Like, maybe they only want one of Mo or Big Pappy. I don't know. Like, Origin's for fucking headaches. It's busting blokes, and I think I prefer to have a couple of those freight trains running at me rather than I don't know. Tommy Gilbert's, you guys know I'm all into fear factor players, and Tommy Gilbert's just not a fear factor player for me.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the last game of the round. It's Guys Dragons versus the Doggies. For the Dragons, don't think I saw any major changes for them. For the Dogs, Cole Flanagan's been given the kick in the button this morning, and the grub Josh Reynolds comes in to start at the halves. Obviously, Dragons play the first 5, Bulldogs don't. Boys, we'll talk about it when we look at the trading trends after this. But what's your thoughts on Torres Sloan, Guy?
Yeah, I was speaking about it before with you boys. I actually don't like it. I've been talking for weeks that I don't mind him as an extra option for the buys, but my issue now is about 460k. He does rely a lot on attack, which we've known. And he has been getting it. We've had a easy-ish draw, the Dragons. he was on nothing at half time. I just think you're better off spending 100K maybe for an AJ, who would just has that higher ceiling in that Rabbitohs team. From their draw after round 11, just opens up really nicely. The only players which I did, Tautau Moga, I think special mention to him. He came out with a massive game, put up 111. Jack Bird, Timmy owns. He's just been pumping out scores. He's got that duel. And yeah, since he's been a part of Tim's team, he's just kind of taken off, which is good. Timbo.
I'm going to take the credit for that. But that's
Yeah, Roscoe can take the credit for that. I was in the middle of the ocean. Ross said, "Do this." I went, "Yep, righto."
I suggested it, and you're like, "Yeah, okay."
I hadn't slept for 2 days. I wasn't arguing.
I'm just gonna chuck in there on slow and say the Bulldogs, Tigers, and Cowboys with a break even of -36. I don't think it's the worst trade. I think you could do a lot worse than him, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we get into the trade trends. I just think he's an okay option. I know what you're saying about his base, but it's geez, I know.
But let's be honest. He's, as far as if you put him in centre wing, not so much fullback, but if you put him in centre wing, I would say I'd play him on a week in, week out basis over Warbrick. I'd play him week in, week out over AKP. Yeah. Obviously, those boys have got the higher ceiling and whatever else, but I'd feel much happier having Sloane there than one of those other boys. Yeah. It's a bit like CNK. Obviously, he got injured last weekend, but I'm really ruining the fact that I sold CNK in about round 3 or 4 as well. It's I sold him when he got injured the first time, so it's a bit annoying. But I'd be pretty keen on having Sloane if I had the trades and didn't need to make upgrades elsewhere. I'd be pretty happy with like a Warbrick to him or someone else at shit.
My centre wing's quite stacked, but I actually went Zach Lomax, as you boys know, from Kiraz to make some cash. He just hasn't been goal kicking well at all. It's cost us a few times, but he put up a 51 still averaging, in that mid-50s. But yeah, he just does a lot less for it than Sloane does. He takes a lot of hit ups and stuff. Even Moses Sully. I mean, you look at the game on the weekend. I think Sloane was easily probably one of the best players in our team, but he didn't score the best for Supercoach. And Moses Sully put up 106, and probably didn't have as good a time, but still outscored him. So yeah,
he was a really good pod Sully for about 6 weeks last season as well. Does like to go on a bit of a run. So what's their draw like over the next 6 weeks, Guy?
It's the problem with the Dragons is it doesn't really matter right now.
Bubble, toil and trouble. Okay, so over the next 6 weeks,
for example,
over the next 6 weeks, they've got Bulldogs, Cowboys, Roosters, Dolphins, Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers after the Origin, won, pending back up. But yeah, the next few games, Bulldogs, Tigers, Cows. But then again, they play the Roosters again, who we just versed, and then Dolphins, who haven't played ever. It's not the worst draw. But yeah, I think I've got low max. I don't know how many you could take from the Dragons. But yeah.
All right. Anything else in that game, boys? No one from the Dogs, obviously, that's really relevant, right?
I think King's probably the only one that people have looked at. Marnie's.
Yeah, in terms of Preston, you'd obviously sell before 13.
Yeah.
But not guys.
Yeah. All right, we'll quickly run through the trading and trade outs, and then we'll go through our trades and that for this week. So Tommy Turbo is the number one on the list, boys. I don't have it. I wouldn't, begrudge anyone from trading him out. You guys got Tommy, you holding? I know you don't have him, do you, or you do?
Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got him.
You're gonna hold him? You hold him?
Yeah, BC
Timmy?
this week for me.
Yeah, look, I'm holding him, and it's I don't know. I see plus side both ways. If he plays, I think he's fit, and if he doesn't, like if he's not fit, then I think they'll sit him out, and at which point Garrick will go to fullback instead of playing in the centres. I love it.
Yeah. Number 2 on the list is William Warbrick. I don't think there's much to say about here. That's great. I think it's a good trade out. Lise Katoa's number 3. Concussion. Misses this week. Obviously, they got the bye, but he also potentially misses Magic round 2. Number 4 on the list is Calm Pereira. I think you guys agree. Probably time to move him on. Made some good money.
Yeah, I think all of those are sells.
Number 5 on the list is Taylor Harris. Makes sense, I think, with his injury. But could I have a question for you guys? If Tohu comes out tomorrow and they say he's out 2 to 3 weeks, see it as a owner, are you holding or selling?
I think you sell. It's what his second
I've already,
second big
I've
injury
already
already.
bought him this year. Yeah, and he's done it to me already, so that's why I was hesitant.
It's
Until
his second big injury already this season. So
Yeah.
like you've got to look at him. He's not getting any younger, and he just seems to get battered. Don't get me wrong. When he's on the field, he scores points. So he's super coach gold. But the problem is he plays 3 weeks, misses a couple. Plays 3 weeks, misses a couple.
Yeah.
sounds like footy career.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone we're about to talk about in a minute. Christian Welch, he's got the buy. I think it makes sense to trade him out. Most people are going to be struggling for 2 front rows with Hart out as well. Who's number 7 on the list, which I'm not understanding this trade out. I don't know why people are selling Hart. I think he's a hold. You boys agree on that? I don't think he can sell.
It's dumb. It's a silly trade. He's by far the best front rower. It's not like he's $1 million where you're getting a whole stack of money for him. What's he sitting at? About 800 or something? 757. So it's not like it's a Latrell question where you go like Latrell could go really well this week, but you could sell him to, I don't know, even you sell him to anyone other than Walsh and you're getting 200, 300, 400K. So it's I don't know. I don't get the Payne Haas sell. That's crazy.
Number 8 is Mr. In and Out himself, Josh Schuster. He plays round 13. I mean, even when he plays, he scores crap. What's your guys' thoughts on trading him out? I don't know on this one. I mean,
there's no point. He's 270K. If he'd made 150, 200K, then I could understand it. But he's 271. If he's fit, he's going to play warmer seat for the bye round. He might only give you 30 points, but it's I see it as a bit of a wasted trade at the moment. Obviously got dual, so that obviously helps. So yeah, look, I'd just hold him.
Number 9 on the list is Hammer Time. I don't know if I'd be selling. I'm not selling him, and I think
it's crazy.
I mean, he's covering round 13. I know he's got a buy round 11. I think the Dolphins have got a buy or something, or around.
I think he's a week to week play even. Like I'm cranky that I sold him when I did.
Number 10 on the list is DNK. Would you be selling him? I mean, given they're playing 13, he's out this week with concussion, but he's not out next week because it was a cat too, so he doesn't miss 2 weeks. What's your thoughts on that one, John?
It's his second. Second head knock. So he's out for. Isn't he out for 3 weeks or 4 weeks or something?
No. Because it wasn't cat 1, so he doesn't miss 2 weeks automatically. It was a category 2, so it's a week by week prospect. Even though he was ruled out to not come back on, it wasn't a category 1, so he doesn't miss the mandatory 2 weeks. What do you reckon?
I think both Hammer and Chance are both holds, especially if you've got the likes of Warbrick and AKP, who you definitely sell before because they don't play 13. Schuster, he just stinks. I mean, I'm glad I've had him from the start and haven't wasted a trade to bring him in because you can't play him in your 13 at all, and even in the bye rounds, he's probably not going to give you much anyway. And the other one, Haas, definite hold, especially when most of the Welch this week. You definitely flog him.
Oh,
Going back to the question we had before. Dolphins have got the bye in 11 and 16.
Mm.
So if you got the Hammer or Osako or any of those guys, the bye in 11 and 16. So that's it's a little bit interesting actually, those ones.
It is, because if you've got especially if you've got, say, Harry Grant and JMK as the hookers, both of them will be at round 16.
Yeah, I'll tackle that issue in about 8 weeks' time.
All right, let's go into trading. We'll get through this quickly. Tyrrell Sloan's number one on the list. I think we've already spoken about him. Number two on the list is dead set chasing points, and that is Robert Jennings. 267k. Don't get it. I believe your man Tessie News due back next week too, guy.
Yeah, I think it was questionable whether he was going to play this week. Was my understanding, but I wouldn't be on Jennings.
AFB's number three on the list. I think we've already touched on him. I think we all agree that it's a reasonable trade. Number four on the list is Joey Manu. Thoughts on this one, boys? Doesn't play 13. How much longer do we see him playing starting at 5'8"? Like, I know he's gonna go back to centre where he's not averaging very well. What's your guys' thoughts on trading him in this week?
I think it's more of a case going for points. He doesn't play 13. He's nicely priced, 6'10". He's got a nice draw. You're just banking on him staying at 6. And scoring decent points. Maybe it's more of a head-to-head approach. But obviously I probably prefer AJ by the week in the centre wing. I see the Manu trade.
Yeah. Number 5 on the list is Tarpany. I think we've already spoken about him. I think we all agree that it makes sense. Number 6 is Jared Croker. Obviously, keep an eye out for final teams on for him. Number 7 on the list is James Tedesco, boys. Another one, probably more for the overall players. Or going from Walsh to Teddy to Bank Cash. What do we think?
Yeah, look, that's what I'm doing at this stage. I am pretty keen on the AJ trade. I don't think I'm quite ready to pull the trigger on my final boost, but it's a feasible option.
Number 8 on the list is definitely trading points, and that's Steve Crichton, boys.
Definitely wouldn't go him. Even around Origin when he's going to be goal kicking. They've got a lot of points to share around in that Penrith team, so he's not always going to get it. Obviously, this week it fell to him, but there are a lot of weeks where he's going to get, a 30 or 40. Yeah. With Jared Croker, is Xavier Savage in the extended bench?
He is. Yes. So he could come in.
Yeah. Walsh to Teddy, I like that trade. I did it myself last week. The next one after Crichton, I'm more interested in though.
The jet ski. We've spoken about the jet ski, haven't we? Yeah, I guess we don't really need to touch too much on that. What do you think on that one, Timmy? On jet ski?
I don't know. Not for me. But I've got other fires to put out. If you had plenty of trades, and I can kind of understand why people are doing it as a bit of a downgrade. Maybe I don't know. Like I got to sell Reece Walsh before he bleeds too much cash, and I need a front rower this week. So I suppose in theory I could move a few players around and bring him in, but I think I prefer to bring in 2 guns rather than a gun and a cheapie at this time of year.
I'll throw out a scenario there. So for those who don't have as much carnage as some of us do, is going someone like Preston down to jet ski. And then upgrading one of your front row forwards to another gun that's going to play 13, or trading up like the Sonny Luke or another backup hooker to another gun hooker like a Robson or a JMK with Harry Grant out this week.
Yeah, look, that's not a bad play. Even like myself, I could do something crazy like sell Reece Walsh, move Garrick down to fullback, then move like Jack Bird or Connolly down to centre wing, and then bring him in that way, and then probably do a trade somewhere else, and like do an upgrade. So look, I see your logic in that. It's an interesting way of looking at it, but I think at this time of the season, I'd probably prefer to bring in two guns rather than a one up, one down. It depends on your funds, really.
Yeah. Number 10 on the list is Dylan Brown. Not much to add on to him. I've got a question for you boys. If you had a choice between Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses, both similar price, I think there's bugger all difference in it. Obviously, Moses got the goal kicking. Who would you go? Timmy?
I'd still say Dylan Brown, because you've got to have Nico and Cleary in halfback, and Moses is only available in halfback. So I think if you can't run without Nico or Cleary unless you're doing some stupid like halfback roulette or something like that.
Just based off position. I mean, even after Nico and Cleary, I think Cherry Evans is probably 3 anyway above Mitch Moses for me. But D-Bags has probably only got Munster and maybe Cody in front of him.
But I guess if you look at it, play devil's advocate, you'd like to think at this stage that Nico plays Origin, Cleary plays Origin, DCE plays Origin, so maybe it's a smart play to go Mitch Moses in there somewhere, but I still wouldn't be selling Nico Hines or Nathan Cleary.
All right, well, that's the trade trend for this week. Let's go around the grounds and do our trades for this week and BC and C options. So I'll start with you guys.
Yeah, nice and quick. My trades were obviously Welchie out, taps in, and to do that, I couldn't do it in one trade. I needed about 20k. I was short. So I've gone Grant to Cookie, which made me about 50k, and it also solved my issue of having to play, will potentially play Hodgson, who's obviously not doing well for Para, so I couldn't really rely on it.
Yeah, BC and C.
As I said before, probably at this stage VC, Turbo, and C on Nath. But it could change.
Timmy?
At this stage, I'm going Welsh out. Probably Taps and Teddy in.
And VC and C?
VC Nico, and then it'd probably go Captain Garrick or Turbo. Depends on how that's going to look.
For me, I'm still undecided on my trades yet. I'll be trading out Welsh to someone I just don't know who yet. Maybe Palacio, as we mentioned earlier. And my VC and C will be Hines into Latrell. That's it. All right, beautiful.
Is that it?
All right, well,
guy didn't look real impressed with either of them.
All right, well, before we finish up, I just want to say big thanks again to Bluebet for jumping on board again. And I think on Sunday night we'll actually have Brett from Sportsbet, Bluebet, sorry, not Sportsbet, Bluebet, come on to the podcast and have a bit of a chat around that sort of stuff too. Obviously, they do a bit of sponsorship around a couple of the NRL clubs too, so we'll have a bit of a good chat to him about that. And until then, we'll see you guys on Sunday night. Good luck for the round. Thanks, Guy and Timmy, for jumping on.
Hey, thanks for
Cheers, lads. Enjoy it.
Always good, boys. Enjoy the rest of your week.
See you guys.